Does JP says, "What's my opinion on water sports? Do tell." I think if you're into water sports, that's fine. I'm not into being peed on. It's all right. No, thank you. I don't like pee. It smells bad, and even though pee technically is sterile, FYI. So if you're gonna do something between that and the other one, then definitely pee's the way to go if you want to be clean. But I don't like urine. I don't like the smell of it. I don't want to be around it I don't want it on me or whatever. I mean, I don't mind peeing around somebody or whatever. That doesn't bother me. Obviously, you're being in a bathroom. But I mean, being peed on, no thank you. Peeing on someone else, if they asked me to do it, I would do it. But it wouldn't do anything for me sexually. But yeah, I think if you're into that, fine. Good for you. Ted Bennett says, "Can you swim?" Can I swim? Can I swim? Yes, I can swim. I can swim. I learned to swim when I was 6 years old. I think I was 6 years old, 6 or 7. My grandmother took me in the summer to a swimming, this huge swimming pool, this huge estate where in Terrell, Texas, where she lived at the time, where they had a huge Olympic-sized swimming pool, indoor swimming pool. And the people there gave swimming lessons in the summer. And so that's where I learned how to swim. And it took me a while because I was always afraid I was going to drown, but I learned how to swim just fine. Yes, I can swim. I can stay above water or below if he's hot. Okay. He was talking to me, you dumbass. I don't care who he's talking to, bitch. It's my show. I will respond how I please. Anyway, so I think that it's, people have their kinks and they're into what they're into, but I don't really care what they do. I've always said, as long as what you're into, doesn't harm someone else and it's with someone else who's consenting, then more power to you. Just because I'm not into it doesn't mean that I should judge someone else's kink or someone else's preferences. It's up to them to do what they want to do. As long as the two of them are wanting to do it and no one's being forced to do it, unless that's what they're into, then it's fine. Your grandparents are from Terrell. They're from Terrell, Texas. Well, first of all, Terrell, Texas is Terrell, but yes, Terrell. Yeah, that's where my grandmother's from. Actually, she's from Wills Point, Texas, and that's where my family's from, is Wills Point, my mom's side. And my dad's side was from Terrell. And my grandmother moved to Terrell. My mom's mother moved to Terrell from Wills Point when her house burned down in an electrical fire in the 60s. So she was there until she moved to Dallas with me and my mother until she died. Well, she lived with my mother until she died at 96 a few years ago. What about Bondage? Bondage is fine. It doesn't do anything for me either. Really. I mean, like the look of it, like leather or whatever. I think leather's hot to look at, like leather gear and leather, like equipment and stuff like that, slings and stuff like that. All that kind of stuff is hot, and that's a turn on to me. But actually being bound doesn't do anything for me sexually. If it does something for someone else, I would do it, but it's not something that turns me on. It's more about I think domination's more interesting and sexual to me than being bound. And that's part of it for some people, I think. But being bound does not really do anything for me either. He is the widest of vanilla ice cream that there is. Actually, I'm not at all. You just haven't touched on what I'm into, and I'm not going to tell you what that is unless you guess it, which I'm not going to tell you. What about this on Bondage? Bondage is yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so that's what I think about that. But I don't think that, unfortunately, people. Honestly, to be truthful, I don't think people are experimental enough. I mean, the truth is, everything you've mentioned except the scat thing, I've done before. I've done all of these things before. It's just that they don't turn me on. They don't. There's nothing about them that is sexual or sexually charging for me. And really, when you have some sort of people who do these things or into these things, it's because it sexually arouses them. And those things don't sexually arouse me. Being tied up does not sexually arouse me. Tying up someone else does not sexually arouse me. Being peed on definitely does not sexually arouse me. Peeing on someone else does not sexually arouse me. The other thing does not either. So none of these things are at all, my thing at all. But I've done them all, but they're just not interesting to me. No, I'm not that at all, JP. Sorry. That would be someone else that I know. That would not be me. No, not at all. Actually, no, it's very, very, very vocal. I'm very vocal and all that stuff. So I'm very, yeah. And actually, I remember when I was 19 years old, I was dating a guy named Mitch here in Dallas, and we went to his place and we were having sex, and I was so loud that the neighbors were banging on the door. And then one time I was with this guy named Tony for about 3 or 4 months. We were together. I think it wasn't very long. And his neighbor, who was gay, heard us having sex all the time because I was so loud. And one day came over and wanted to have a three-way with us, which we did not do, but he did because he was turned on by the fact that we were always screaming and whatever. But anyway, I thought it was funny. But no, yeah, I'm definitely not vanilla at all. It may sound that way because of the things you've mentioned, but I'm really not. No. It just depends on who it is and the scenario, whatever. And most of the time, people in the past that I've been with have been older than me. I think, I'd say that's mostly what I'm into, people who are older than me. When I was younger, I was dating somebody, my first boyfriend, if you want to call him that. I was 22 when I was 15. And then I dated a guy who was 20 when I was 16, and then 28 or 25 when I was, 27 when I was 19. And so, I've always dated guys about, 5 to 7 years older than myself. That's generally the age range that I generally have been in. I've also dated guys who've been 15, 18 years old. The oldest guy I've ever dated was 18 years older than I was. And we actually are still good friends, but I dated him for 18. He was 18 years older than I was at the time when I was 20. How old was I? 20? 21? I guess I was 20. No, I was like 22, I think, and he was 40 or something like that. And so, yeah, age has never really been a thing for me. It just depends on the guy, I never thought that age was important in terms of sexual attraction. Definitely not important in that realm. But in terms of where you are in your life, it can make a difference. If you have somebody who's 19 years old in college versus someone who's established and they're living and they have a brand, they have a house and a car and, mortgage and they have their life already settled and they're doing what they're doing for the rest of their life. Those are two very different points in lives. And that guy may want to have kids already or whatever. So that's why I think it's important people take that into consideration when they date someone with a big age gap or a difference. I do think it's very important because most of the time people don't think about that. They just think about the sex. And if you're just there for the sex, that's fine. But I think if it's going to be something more serious, you definitely need to think about that thing as well. JP says, I was with this guy one time and I was moaning and he asked me if he should call 911. I was speechless. How do you respond to such things? Well, I don't know. I've never been asked if I should call 911 because I'm not that bad. But I think that at one time I know one thing that kind of sums up me, I think is that when I was 20 years old, I was at SMU and I was dating this guy named Michael D. His last name was D. I'm not going to say his whole name, but his last name started with a D. He was, I was 19. He was like 39. I guess he was like even older than I thought. Let me see. He was 39. So he was like 20 years older than me, right? Yeah. So actually he was even older. Or 38 or something. No, he's like 36. But anyway, whatever. My point is we were having sex for the first time. We'd gone out a few times, whatever, and flirted and stuff. But we had sex finally. And he said to me after sex, he was like breathing heavy or whatever. He's like, wow, you'd never know. I was like, know what? He said that you're such a wild guy in bed. I was like, okay. And I think that's kind of the way I've always been. It's not like an intentional thing. Like I don't intentionally have a persona and then have who I am in bed. It's just I'm one of those people who's sort of like, a choir boy in the streets and a slut in the sheets. That's kind of who I am. That's just the way I've always been. And I've always been that way. And I've just always been a very sexual person. And a lot of people, there's been issues with that in my past with some people I had dated because they had been, they thought that the choir boy persona that I have or look about me or personality that I have, which is pretty sophisticated and kind of just, classic or whatever, kind of just go with it, just kind of preppy-ish or whatever. I don't know how you want to explain it. Mainstream, I guess is what I'm trying to say, does not really mesh with who I am in bed. It's two different things completely. Smurfette, that's hilarious. I love that. Yeah, so that's kind of been my cross to bear, because when I was in college and stuff, I would attract guys whom were kind of vanilla guys and just kind of whatever, nice guys, and I dated them and it was perfectly fine or whatever. But I was always really into those guys who were like the goth guys, or the guys who were like alternative or whatever, and into like alternative music and those kind of guys. and that was kind of more how so I guess if you're going to put it in those terms, generally by day, I'm more like a Prada guy, and by night more like Tom of Finland. So in terms of in bed, so I guess that's what you'd say. If you want to call it out visually that way, that's what you'd say, I guess. But anyway, let me see what else I wanted to talk about real quick before I go. Let's see. Trying to see if there was another article I wanted to talk about real quick. I don't know what happened to it. I meant to write it down. I didn't, of course. Anyway, by the way, JP, when is your show coming back? I heard your show. Yes, I completely agree, Ted Bennett. Tom of Finland's hot. Yes. I heard your show, and you said that was your last one for a while. What is going to happen or change about your show, and when is it going to come on again? I like your show, and so I'd like to hear, are you going to have the same people on there, or is it going to be different people, new people? Or are you going to just do something completely different, or what's going to happen with your show? When's it coming back, basically, is the first thing I want to know. Because you just stopped it a week ago or whenever it was. So let me know about that. But anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about tonight. I didn't really have much to say. I just wanted to have a call-in show. Nobody fucking called in. I knew they wouldn't. But that's okay. I'm just used to it. But by the way, in the future, if you ever do want to call in, you can always call in to 214... What the hell's the number? 377. Oh my God, I forgot my number. Oh my God, I forgot the number. Here it is, 214-377-0481. Actually, I've had that same number for like 3 years. I don't remember by now. Oh wait, JP says the new show is called The Weekly Rewind. It premieres on the 5th of February. So be sure to look for JP's new show, The Weekly Rewind, on Spreaker. Premieres on February the 5th. And well, Ted, I can't see that, so it doesn't really matter if you are or not. All I can hear is your voice, so feel free to call in if you have something to say sometime, whether it's tonight or another night. Same to you, JP. You never did call on my show. You're supposed to call me. We have the same cast plus one more, theweeklyrewind.com for more details. So I will check that out as well. So thanks for letting me know. I was curious because I like your show. It's good. So I'll be back tomorrow for show number 25 of the year. And as I said, you can always call into the show live anytime from here on out. I'll brought the callbacks back. So be sure to call me if you want to talk to me on the air, high or drunk or whatever. I don't care. It makes for good radio. So feel free. Yes, you can also use Skype, Ted. Skype, if you want to use Skype, you can Skype at offlimitsshow. My Skype name is offlimitsshow. So you can always Skype as well if you want to during the show live or whatever. So I will be back on tomorrow. So thanks for listening, guys. Thank you, JP, and thank you, Ted Bennett, for listening to the show. I appreciate you keeping me company while I did my call-in show where no one called in. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Good night.